morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from today. It is Wellness Wednesday, and we are back live on LinkedIn. And I am Lisa Skydebor-Schuler with Kensington, and I have a special guest with me today, which is Jade Barrett. Jade, if you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself here.
Yeah. Hi, you guys. Thank you for having me, Lisa. So my name is Jade. I am an associate ergonomic professional. I work for BSI, and I also have an ergonomic blog called Millennial Ergonomics, where we focus on bringing awareness to the younger crowd, and we just kind of create content that kind of inspires the younger crowd to use ergonomics as a lifestyle.
Yeah, that's awesome. I found your blog, I think when I was surfing through LinkedIn, and I identify myself, I guess, fortunately or unfortunately, as a millennial, depending on who you're talking to.
Mm-hmm.
So it did draw me to click on your blog and read through some of your blog posts. You have a great writing style. I love the energy that goes into it. If you haven't had a chance, definitely go check out her blog postings. But can you tell us about some of the topics that you've talked about and just the style behind it?
Yeah, so I identify as a millennial, like 100%. I am 100% a millennial. So the content that I create focuses on issues that millennials might be running into with ergonomics. So I create content about like TikTok and how to use ergonomics while using TikTok, how to incorporate ergonomics when you're binge watching TV, because that's what millennials are doing. Honestly, that's what most people are doing right now during the pandemic. So it's relatable to every generation right now. Also selfies. I did a post on selfies and ergonomics because a lot of people are experiencing some wrist issues. So content like that where it's related to millennial lifestyle, so things that we do every day. So I try to keep that in mind, and honestly, I just use my real life experience. Whatever I notice myself doing, I'm like, oh, I'm sure someone else is doing that as well.
For sure.
Yeah, TikTok was a very big one for me because TikTok is very addicting if you haven't been on there. So that one was very relatable, I feel like, for everyone, because once you go on there and you spend time on there, you can spend like hours at a time doing it. So yes, that is the content that I try to create for millennials and honestly for everyone.
Very nice. Yeah, I actually just downloaded TikTok last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I kept putting it off, and I said, no, I can't be that millennial and download it. But I kept hearing about it, and honestly, I mean, it is addicting. And I could sit there and watch those funny or silly or whatever videos for hours. I have not created one myself yet, but I'm sure that's to come, because isn't that the segue that you get the app, you get ideas, and then start creating?
For sure, yeah. Yeah, you always start off like, oh, I don't really need TikTok. What is that, like a Vine knockoff? And then, you get on TikTok and you're like, okay, I'm just going to spend like 5 minutes on here. It can't be that funny. And then like 3 days later, you've been scrolling for like, 24 hours. So it's very important, I feel like, to bring ergonomics into TikTok because you spend a lot of time on it. And so I definitely try and give people helpful tips and tricks. I never tell people not to do it anymore. Like, I'm never going to tell you, hey, don't binge watch, 6 hours of Netflix after work. I'm just going to tell you the best tips and tricks on how to incorporate ergonomics into doing that.
Perfect. Yeah. And I mean, one of the great things about being on LinkedIn Live, TikTok, like all of these different tech related apps and devices that are out there is that we do have the capability to reach people worldwide. So I do see that Greg is watching from Chicago. Ricky's here from Calabasas, Cincinnati. Typically, we have people from all around the world. And I love seeing that in this type of platform, being in a professional basis, but then also having fun, in TikTok and doing the Netflix thing and having all of that content there. I do want to discuss the millennial side a little bit further because I do think you are probably considered the most millennial ergonomic specialist that I know.
Thank you.
And I think there's a lot of buzz around it as far as the aging workforce, and the millennials are considered the aging workforce because it's such a large group. Can you give a little bit of insight? Because I do want to make sure people know that even though you do these really fun blogs with all the fun hashtags in them, I mean, you are certainly a ergonomic professional and have a very high standard in the industry to talk about this type of thing. So could you talk a little bit about the aging workforce of the millennials and the issues you see?
Yeah, so definitely the millennials now are the aging workforce. We're aging gracefully. So millennials are between I think 39 and 25. So it's typically people that were born between 1981 and 1996, I believe. So we are considered an aging workforce now. And lately, I mean, I've been in my career for a couple of years now, and I've noticed early on in my career that the discomfort that people are experiencing kind of at the end of their career. So I started out kind of doing ergonomics for people that were closer to the retirement age. And so one summer I had the opportunity to do evaluations for the interns at that group. And I noticed that the interns had the same discomfort that the employees that were closer to retirement had. And it was the same severity and everything like that. So the concern that I have is that we've been using computers and technology for so much longer than generations before us. And so we, as millennials, I think we think we're like Robin Hood. We're never going to grow up, right? But it happens. We do age. We're aging very gracefully. But the discomfort that people experience kind of towards the end of their career, we're starting to experience a lot sooner in our career. So that is the biggest concern that I have. And that's the issue that I see, is that a lot of the same issues like lower back discomfort, neck discomfort, wrist discomfort, we have that because we've been using the computer I've been using the computer since I was probably 5 or so. So all of that kind of catches up to us. And then the generations before us typically had typing classes where they learned how to use the computer correctly, right? I did not. I'm a self-taught computer person, right? I was, on Nickelodeon.com scrolling, right? Just planting my wrist on everything, eating hot Cheetos with one hand, scrolling with another one. So I just kind of noticed that we have a lot more time in compared to other people. And we also use technology way more than other generations. So typically people would just go to work and use their computers, right? And then that would be it. They'd come home and maybe watch TV or I don't know. Now you're on your computer all day. And then as soon as you're done with your work day, you can go on TikTok for a couple of hours, or you can go gaming for a couple of hours. So we don't stop using technology. And so we have more exposure to these risk factors.
And I think no matter what age group you're in, I mean, it always does boil down to those same body parts that are having the most trouble. But like you said, with millennials being on tech, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and when she's on her iPad for school all day, then wants to come home and play Roblox or FaceTime with her friends or whatever that age category is, we're on our tech literally all day long. And then you add into the mix COVID, which is just, exploding on the technology side too. And so obviously, I brought you on, I'm with Kensington, that we're always making work from home solutions or work from anywhere type solutions. How have you seen millennials specifically, or just people that you're seeing in general, I guess, adapt to the work from home environment versus being in that traditional office space?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've definitely noticed that people are taking ergonomics way more seriously now that they're working from home, because they're more aware of the issues now. So most of the places that I work at, they had the full ergo setup with the sit stand desk, the monitor arm, ergo mouse, ergo keyboard, monitor arms, all the whole 9, right? And so the transition from being in a well set up office to working from home now, people are like, oh my God, I took for granted having all of this equipment, and it's so important. I'm starting to notice the discomfort now. I see how much of a big of a deal it is in order for me to have a great setup, and in order for me to feel good while I'm working. So that is the biggest thing that I've noticed, is people are starting to take ergonomics way more seriously because they're starting to feel it.
Now, I've seen several surveys out there that most people want to continue working from home, whether COVID was in the mix or not, because of the flexible workday that we're getting.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you're seeing? And I'm in the Midwest, you're in the West Coast, you're in Southern California right now, is that
Yes.
right? Okay. So I have snow in the backyard, if you can't see, and you
I have sun in front of me.
I was going to be really mad if you logged on today with like the view of the beach behind you or something, and it's going to make me a little upset.
I wouldn't rub it in.
But you did get a like on your wall. I do really like your wall behind you there too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But that being said, with the return to work and being in that millennial space, what do you feel like the millennial generation is saying? Do you think that they want to continue working from home, or do you think that that mass population is saying, I want that flexibility to go into the office sometime, or they like the shared space? What are your insights around that? And I realize it's just your opinion, but would love to hear it.
Yeah, I think most people are taking like a hybrid approach. That's what I've heard. A lot of people here in California still are not able to go into the office, so we're all still primarily working from home. But I think the general consensus is like, I would like to have the option to go into work a couple of days, but I also really like having the flexibility to work from home and wear pajama pants and like, if I want to like go get a water or something like that, it's not like a big deal, but they also want to have that interaction with people as well. So I think people want more of a hybrid approach, and I feel the same way. It would be nice to be able to go into the office, but I do like the flexibility of working from home. I love being at home. Like I feel safe here, and it's a really nice environment for me. But I do miss like sometimes, going into the break room and like, hey, how's it going? I do miss those small interactions. So I think most people are taking like a hybrid approach. I think also millennials care a lot about like health and wellness, and so we're very much about like, if it's stressing us out or giving us anxiety, we don't want to do it. Like we're trying to like minimize stress because we are very aware of ourselves as millennials. And so I think anything that we can find that will help to reduce our stress levels is what we're going to go for.
And I think that's something that's been a really common theme in any discussion I've heard around ergonomics right now, is that people are loving the fact that it's becoming a mainstream topic. Yes. And it's not just something that only a select group of people know about. Whereas I think before, Jade, if you would have told one of your friends you worked in ergonomics 5 years ago, I mean, do you think they would have known what it was? Or do you think you would have had to generalize it to say, I work in health and wellness or safety or something like that?
That is a great question. Honestly, 5 years ago, the best way that I described it to my friends is I'm a chair lady. I help people and I help people adjust their chairs and their workstations. So I did kind of tone it down. It is kind of a difficult thing to explain to people, like the intersection between like using engineering and psychology to adjust like your workstation and stuff like that. So it is kind of difficult to explain to some people, but I think more people now understand what it is, especially a lot of like companies now are like incorporating ergonomics into their designs of things. So a lot more people are aware of it now.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that even my neighbors that really didn't know what I did before were coming to knock on my door asking what products I had available that they could try out, knowing that I did something in that line of work, but not understanding what kind of impact that could actually make on their day-to-day life if they did have a proper ergonomic setup with like a laptop riser, keyboard or mouse, or whatever those things were. Christy asked a question, what things do you recommend to help people reduce stress?
That is a great question. So I usually recommend like, if you're like feeling overworked with like, too many assignments from work, definitely communicate to your manager, like ask for help. Definitely don't be afraid to like reach out to people and be like, hey, I need help. The workload is getting too much. A lot of my clients also do a lot of yoga. A lot of stretching is very important. Definitely taking breaks and walking around, going outside just to reduce stress. I think a lot of people forgot that like the sun is a thing that is helpful and gives you like vitamin D that you need. So just like taking things slow, I think is my biggest recommendation. Take breaks and like really listen to your body. because most of the time your body is going to tell you, hey, I'm not feeling too well, I'm feeling stressed out, and it'll like manifest in your body as well. A lot of people tend to hold stress like right here in their shoulders. So just listening to your body and taking it slow whenever you feel like you need to.
Yeah, I think that's great tips. Christy responded to my comment on making ergonomics mainstream and people asking that her family members actually asked for ergonomic Christmas gifts this year, which is great. I mean, that means that you are making a difference. And I do think that one of the main characteristics of millennials, and I think it branches beyond the millennial age group, honestly, is that you love to feel that things are personalized for you, and that if you can have that special color or fit or whatever that might be, I think that's really attractive to the millennial group specifically. But seeing the flexible workforce and having that hybrid model, I think shows maybe millennials know what's going on. But from that aspect, there are some good things we can take from the millennial generation and what their wants and needs are, and then branching it out to the full workforce there too. I think that's important. I do want to bring up, so one of the things with Kensington that we do have is a system called SmartFit. Made me think of it just because I was talking about fit and color. But basically, we did take U.S. Army data that was put together to show statures of people. And we were able to classify it into 4 color groups to get a personalized fit. And we've built that into several of our products. Now, it's not to replace someone like Jade coming in and giving you an ergonomic assessment, but where we have found it helpful, if you have an ergonomist on staff or you have someone able to give you an assessment, is that it gives you a baseline. And if you have that product, Jade, in your office and you're assessing me in my home office, we can know exactly what level they have it at based on that color. And you can have that better baseline. So it's pretty interesting in the remote workforce to have that type of product available, coming in laptop risers, monitor arms, footrest, and backrest, everything. So I think it's just one more way that we can really look forward to seeing how personalized fit can grow in the ergonomic space as well. Mike Mariner said, I can forward Lisa a one-pager that bullet point stress management tips. Please do drop that in the comments if you want to. Also, we've done a couple blogs on Kensington.com around stress management. And I think that's been an important thing this year, as Jade has brought up, that we certainly want to take things a little bit slower, and people are craving that information from lunch break tips or stress management or whatever it might be. Have you found that you still take like a lunch break? Is that fitting into your work schedule, Jade, or do you feel like you do it?
No, I love eating, so I do not skip lunch breaks. I take my time. I like to enjoy eating. So I still take lunch breaks. I still take it at a scheduled time just to make sure that I don't like work through it, because that can happen. I make sure I don't schedule appointments over it. I think that's the best way to go about it, is just make sure that you have it already scheduled out. So then that way you make sure that you take it. But I know a lot of people, a lot of my clients do tend to like eat lunch while they're working, or like they'll work through their lunch, or like they'll be in a meeting and, just turn off their camera and eat during lunch. So I definitely take my breaks, and I encourage people to take their breaks all of the time whenever they can.
Now, have you heard of the whole virtual commute thing, Jade?
No, I haven't. I have an idea of what it could be, but what exactly is it?
So I think it's something that is going to become more popular as we continue to work from home, but it's been this trending thing that I keep seeing more and more articles. We've done one blog around it on Kensington.com, but basically it's taking that time that you commuted on public transportation or bike or, your regular car, whatever it might be, and taking that time to actually manifest about your day and take the time for yourself, which for myself, I was working from home pre-COVID, so I haven't had to commute in quite a while. But for people that did have to commute, and thinking of the days when I did, that was a time that I got to wake up in the morning, jam out to my music, kind of let all the bed things that are going on in your mind just get out of there. Otherwise, now, you wake up, and depending if you get ready first thing in the morning or not, you're working, within seconds after you wake up. So people are saying that that virtual commute is really important to take, but then to also increase that work-life balance that I think has been a struggle. Do you feel like millennials have been pretty good about keeping that work-life balance, or do you feel like they're trying to like put in as many hours as they can to kind of show what they're made of?
I think millennials always strive for work-life balance. We're always like, you know what, whatever is going to make me feel good. We're all about self-care. So I think definitely millennials would take that into consideration. And after you explained it to me, I think I definitely like virtually commute instead of, I used to have like an hour commute to work. And now instead of that, like I'll work out in the morning. I usually start off my morning like listening to like the same happy music, just to like put myself in a good mood. I'll make up my bed. That's a really big thing now. And like self-care is making sure that you make up your bed the first thing in the morning so you feel like you accomplished something. At least you did one thing that day. And then after that, I usually meditate for a couple of minutes and then I'll work out, shower. While I'm doing that, I'll listen to podcasts that I used to listen to while I commute. I think that's what I miss the most is like having that time to like listen to podcasts and just like take time to like zone out a little bit. So I think definitely millennials do the same. I know self-care is a very big thing for us.
Awesome. Well, I want to make sure that people that are tuning in late that missed your introduction, I just want to introduce Jade again and appreciate her coming to our broadcast or downstairs to the broadcast, however that might work in your house. But Jade runs a blog called Millennial Ergonomics where she is specializing in millennial topics. If you haven't checked it out, her writing style is so great to identify with a different way. A lot of times when we look at ergonomics, it's very technical.
Yes.
And I love the part on your blogs where you talk about, is it worth giving up the avocados or not?
Yes. I love
I was hoping you would have like a bowl of avocados in your background.
I should have done that. I need that for the brand. You're right. That's a good idea.
But I love that you do make it relatable. And I think about my daughter is probably the rarity at her age just because of what I do that does know as much about ergonomics. But thinking about tweens and teenagers and college students that are starting to understand TikTok and Snapchat and all these other things, if they're looking for ways to make that more comfortable or they've taken 1,001 selfies that day,
Yes.
the selfie elbow is a real thing. And I love that you talk about it in that blog. So definitely check out her blog today. If you have any questions for her, I'm sure her contact information is on there as well. Is that right? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So it'll be on the website, or if you have like any like business inquiries, feel free to reach out to me at jade.barrett. There's 2 R's, 2 T's at bsi.com. So either of those works. The website is Millennial Ergonomics. There's 2 N's and 2 L's in millennial. Just because I like doubles. So either of those works, feel free to reach out to me.
Perfect. And we always end our broadcast with coming up with what our favorite products from Kensington are and something that's relatable to the times. Oh, she's getting excited already.
I got it. I'm ready.
All right. So we did talk about this before. Jade has done a product review on 2 of our vertical type mice, which have been awesome during COVID. But also I think that as soon as I saw your blog, as soon as I saw your style, I thought, oh, this is like the product for you, that it fits in with that. I have both of them over on my desk. So you can show one and I'll show the other. So which one do you have first here?
I like this one.
All right. So she's got the ProFit vertical mouse from Kensington. And if you have any questions about these products or anything to ask Jade or I, we're happy to answer them for you. Drop a comment and we're happy to do that. But Jade, what's your favorite feature about the ProFit vertical mouse?
Okay, there's a couple things. Can I choose like 2 things?
Yes, I'll let you choose 2.
Okay, so first, the aesthetics of this mouse are everything. Like all of the mice that I have around are always black. And so the fact that I had the option to choose which color I wanted just made me so happy. Like aesthetics are very important for me. So love that. And then also it just fits your hand. It just like, I wrote about it on my blog and I like reread it last night and I was like, yes, I still feel exactly the same way about this mouse. But as soon as you put your hand on this mouse, it just like fits. Like I feel like every like part of my hand was thought of when you guys created this mouse, because it just fits right like a shoe. Like I'm like, this is great. So it's very easy to use, like the click and everything. I just love this mouse. And I usually don't use like a vertical mouse, like a completely vertical mouse. I think the tilt is like what, like 46.7?
It's around there. That's a pretty exact number.
So it's very comfortable in my hand, and it doesn't feel like I'm like planting or anything like that. It just fits. So chef's kiss. I love this mouse.
Nice. I think you nicknamed it the unicorn, if I remember right.
I think so. Yes, I think I did, because it was just so special. Because usually I don't love vertical mice. Like it just feels weird in my hand or something like that. This one, just like when I put my hand on there, I was like, this is it. Yeah,
you just slide right onto that mouse, and it really does feel like it forms to your hand. It's one of my favorite as well. And it's nice that it is that white and gray. If you are a little bit more traditional, it does come in the black.
Yes.
But I like the white and gray. And personally, my desk sits in the middle of my living room. Mm-hmm. And so every time Kensington has come out with a light white silver type product, I'm like, perfect. That'll fit with my decor. Otherwise, I mean, I don't want like just a black mouse at my desk. And I guess that's the millennial in me coming out, that I have to have it that way. But the other mouse you did write about as well is the ProFit Ergo mouse. So I've got that right here. And basically, this one is a little bit smaller structure, and I really like this little extra fin.
Yes.
Now, we should have had a naming contest of what this is called, because it's been called the fin, the tail, the extra piece, the pinky holder. I mean, there's been so many things that it's been called, but the nice thing about this one, the ProFit Ergo mouse, is that it is Bluetooth as well as wireless, which we all know that we're running out of ports on our computers these days. So anytime it can be wireless or Bluetooth, and both is a huge bonus. But both of them, the one that Jade showed, the ProFit Vertical, as well as the ProFit Ergo, are super affordable as well when it comes to the vertical type mice market that's out there. And so Jade always ends her product reviews of if it's worthwhile to spend the money on avocados or the products. And I believe in both scenarios here, you had said, don't buy the avocados this week. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. But for both of them, I was like, the mouse is worth it. You don't need avocados today. You need this mouse. So both of them I love. But definitely, if you have the option to like check them out, I would definitely check them out. They're super comfortable to use.
Awesome. Well, like I said, really appreciate you coming today, Jade. I love your perspective on ergonomics. It's fresh, it's new, it's not stuffy at all. And not to say that anybody in ergonomics is stuffy, but I think people can put us in that bucket a lot of times when we start talking about, I was a little concerned when you started talking about 46.7 degree angle that we were going down that road today. But I think that you have done a really great job being relatable in the ergonomic world and really expanding that to be more of a generalized topic there. So if you guys have any questions, our names are on the screen right now. You're welcome to drop a comment below, and we will see it after the broadcast as well. But we'd love to connect with you guys on LinkedIn or reach out to Jade or myself, and happy to continue this conversation. If you would like to be a part of a LinkedIn Live in the future, like Jade has been today, we can have up to 6 people on at a time, which makes for really interesting conversation. But I thought Jade needed the whole stage today with me to talk about that specialty side. And being a millennial, you got to feel like you are valued beyond
belief. I need to feel special. Thank you.
Exactly. So thanks for joining us, everyone. Thank you again, Jade, for joining me on the stage today.